What's up guys, Kyle here again and welcome back to another episode of FAQ'N Friday. We are currently on episode number 31 and that kind of blows my mind because I am just under 4,000 subscribers at the time of me filming this video, which is the Thursday night before this goes live. So at this point, I'm like 7 months into the channel, just under 4,000 subs. I believe I have 3,860 roughly. Blows my mind. I can't believe how fast this channel is growing. I'm so happy that the content is resonating with you guys. Really happy to be connecting with everybody out there. So many people have written in the comments how much my videos have helped them make decisions on amps that they've wanted to pull the trigger on for a long time, but never really heard the amp played in the way that they would play it. Apparently my belligerent amateur style really resonates with a lot of you guys out there. So for that, I'm thankful. I'm really thankful for you guys reaching out and telling me the channel has helped in any way. I appreciate everybody who's reached out with constructive feedback and told me ways that I could improve the channel, giving me ideas for new videos and stuff like that. So really, I know I've said it time and time again, but the whole reason I started the channel was to connect with people on gear. And I have done that more so than I really ever thought possible. The channel keeps growing day by day at a rate that I can't believe. So I'm having a lot of fun. I really am. Really meeting some awesome people. I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to have you guys here. So if it would be really cool if we could get the channel to 4,000 subs by Monday morning, by the end of the weekend. That's like 150, so I know that's kind of a tall order, but still, it'd be really cool. It'd be a nice goal to shoot for, and I would really appreciate the support from you guys who do watch my videos but aren't subscribed. But anyways, I'm having a blast here. I'm really excited for what the future holds for this channel and what we're gonna get to do with everything that's going on here. So yeah, thank you guys. Without further ado, let's get to the questions. Question number 1 comes from Carlos Salazar. He asks, what's your opinion on hybrid setups and using real amps with modelers in the 4-cable method? All right, man, so I am not really the guy to ask on this. Unfortunately, I think I've mentioned this a number of times on my channel. I am really new to the modeling world. I'm new to the plugin world. I'm pretty much new to anything that's digital. I have a camera over here. But yeah, I really have been a tube analog type guy for literally the past 10 years. And I recently just kind of figured out and discovered that, oh my God, digital amp modeling sounds really good now. That seemed to happen overnight because I remember trying it not that long ago and being like not impressed. But yeah, all the amp modeling sounds really good now. The plugins are amazing. The ML SoundLab stuff I've gotten to check out. The STL tones, tonality stuff, Audio Assault, like everything I've tried recently has just kind of blown me away. So I am really pumped about what the future holds for digital gear. Me being a tube amp collector type guy, I'm not opposed to digital gear at all. So I'm not answering your question. I'm kind of just rambling at this point. So anyways, back to your question. I personally have not used a modeler with an actual amp in the 4-cable method. I know a lot of guys use it very successfully in order to use the built-in effects on a lot of these modelers. So it's something that I would like to try at some point. I don't use a lot of effects in my playing, but it's something that I've always kind of wanted to start experimenting with. And I always say when I get more time to practice, when I get more time to experiment with tone, I have to make the time in order to learn it. Some of these things have a huge learning curve. Like the FM3 was a little hard for me to navigate at first glance, whereas the Quad Tortex. That's like Ninja Turtles, I can't talk. But anyways, the Quad Cortex was extremely easy for me to figure out. Line 6 Pod Go was super easy for me to figure out. So I really just want to sink some more time into these modelers. And now I pretty much have all of the major ones. I have a Quad Cortex. I bought a Fractal FM3 off my man Joe Balaguer recently. One of my awesome viewers sent me a Kemper to check out for a while and kind of play with that. So I'll be doing some stuff with the Kemper sometime soon. I bought myself a Line 6 Pod Go. I've been really impressed with that so far. And my man Fluff actually hooked me up with Line 6, and Line 6 is going to send me, not only did they send me Helix native software to check out, but they're going to send me a loaner Helix to play around with for a couple of months and really get familiar with it and provide some feedback to them and let you guys know what I think about it as well. So thanks, Fluff. Appreciate you. Now send me a Rev F dual rectifier too. But anyways, yeah, I got a long ways to go before I feel comfortable with any of that stuff, so I don't feel comfortable providing an answer to you, but I know a lot of pros use those modelers for that exact reason, for using the effects through the effects loop of their amps, and I know it works for them just fine. Fluff being one of those guys that uses the Helix, I mean, flat out, he uses that as his touring thing, so that's got to tell you something. I'm sure there's a lot of merit to it. I just personally haven't dealt with it. So sorry I can't answer that part of your question. As far as hybrid setups, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by definition there. I would consider a hybrid setup like a solid state preamp pedal with like a tube power amp or a tube power section of another amp. In that case, I mean, it's really cool to throw a bunch of preamp pedals on a pedal board and run it through an awesome power section. Like even the power sections on the PV5150s are built like tanks, and you get a resonance and a presence control there. So running pedals through a good clean power section like that and having the power amp controls available on there really opens you up to having a lot more tones in a small amount of space, whereas having a bunch of tube amps takes up a lot of space. So if you don't have a lot of space or you don't have a lot of money, you can't afford to buy like a Rev Generator Mark III. That guy right there, it's really sweet. The G3 and G4 pedals are absolutely excellent. You run those through a nice tube power amp, they sound phenomenal. So I am all about whatever works best for the situation. I'm never gonna 100% of the time say a tube amp is always gonna be best. That's just not the type of person I am. There are different pieces of gear for different situations. So for me, I am actually setting up a fly rig that includes a Duncan Power Stage 200 and a Neuro Quad Cortex. So when my band goes to Europe next year, like we're planning on doing, I can take literally a pedal board and have my entire rig fit inside a pedal board, and I don't have to borrow any gear or use any crappy backline heads that have been used and abused. So like I said, there's really a place for almost every piece of gear, and I have no problem with hybrid setups at all. I really look forward to what the future holds for all this modeling stuff. I feel like that was a really long-winded way to not really answer your question, so I apologize, man. Leave another one down below and I'll try to do a better job next time. Luke Tama1 asks, question for next FAQ, what's the greatest Metallica song? I don't even have to think about that, and it's probably gonna be one that you guys would not think that I would choose, but Fade to Black has always been my absolute favorite Metallica song of all time. It's just so beautifully written. I love like the classical super clean guitar with the chorus on the beginning. It's a beautiful song that even breaks into heavier stuff towards the end, and the little leads and everything that are in there. I absolutely love that song front to back. I always have from the first time I've ever heard it. So for me, that is absolutely my number one Metallica song. Number two, that's a tough one. I have a soft spot in my heart for Battery because my dad, when I was a kid, he used to listen to the Black Album. My dad's not really a metal guy. He's not a metal guy, so it's kind of funny, but he used to listen to the Black Album like every morning on his way to dropping us off at the babysitters before work. I want to say for like a year, 2 years, he had that album on all the time. So like that really got me acquainted with not only Metallica, but like a little bit heavier music. So when I got old enough to start making my own musical choices, we went into this old store called Media Play, which I think that they were a chain back in the day, but no longer around. And anyways, I picked up a copy of Master of Puppets and I just saw Metallica. I had no idea what the songs were on it at the time because I think I was like 9 or 10 years old when I bought this thing. And my dad's like, oh, cool, Metallica. Yeah, let's get it. So I brought it home and the first song on it was Battery. And from that moment, I swear to God, from that moment, I was hooked on fast, aggressive music in any form that I could get it. That's one reason why I latched on to bands like AFI and NoFX, even though they're not like heavy metal bands. Those were the bands that kind of segued me into more underground music because Punkin' Drublic from NoFX and Black Sails in the Sunset and Shut Your Mouth and Open Your Eyes from AFI were two fast, aggressive albums. And man, like that fueled me. That was what I needed. That's what I wanted. I wanted more fast music like the pace of Battery, and not a lot of Metallica songs are that pace. There's a couple on each of the earlier albums, but for the most part they're all, you know, a little bit slower, a little bit heavier. Battery is really kind of what fueled my fire for just loving fast, aggressive music. So that one, I got a soft spot in my heart for Battery too. Gregory Hupchink, not Chink. Ooh, don't cancel me. What 4 bands would you consider your Mount Rushmore of hardcore? Okay, the first 2 are easy. Number 1, Buried Alive, hands down. Number 2, Hatebreed, hands down. When I say Hatebreed, I mean Hatebreed as in Satisfaction is the Death of Desire and Perseverance, because those were really the 2 albums that I started listening to. I got into hardcore like early 2003 when I was 14, 15 years old, so Perseverance was actually the first Hatebreed record that I listened to. Yeah, that was like the heaviest thing I had ever heard at the time. That and Throwdown Haymaker, but Throwdown isn't really like a you know, Mount Rushmore band for me. They're a cool band, but Hatebreed, obviously, they're really the band that really pioneered the super heavy, that modern style of hardcore and popularized it. So Satisfaction is the Death of Desire, in my opinion, is the second best hardcore album of all time, beaten only by The Death of Your Perfect World by Buried Alive. Now, Scott Vogel from Terror, that was not his first band, not even his second band. That was his third band, and he was like 22, 23 when he was in that band, and he had already been in 2 legendary hardcore bands at that time. So anyways, yeah, Buried Alive is just, Death of Your Perfect World's an absolute masterpiece. I love that album front to back. I always have since the first time I heard it, and it still gets me going to this day. Jesse, the drummer of Buried Alive, is one of my friends, and him and I talk shit to each other all day long about guitar tone because we don't necessarily agree on everything, and we like to bust each other's balls. But it's cool to be friends with somebody in the band that I admire so much, and he's also like one of the best hardcore drummers of all time. You can't even argue with me about that. He's amazing. So, but Jesse, you're still a prick. But anyways, yeah, that's an easy 1 and 2. Number 3, probably Terror. I mean, I'm a huge Scott Vogel fan in general, but Terror, especially Lowest of the Low, that album like still fires. I was literally cutting my grass. Suburban Dad style the other day, and Nothing to Me came on my Spotify playlist, and I literally wanted to jump in the pit right then and there. Like, that song still fires me up. That whole album still fires me up. Always the Hard Way, another absolute banger. One with the Underdogs is another great album. I hate the production on that album, but some of the songs on there are absolute classics. So Terror has always been one of my favorite bands. I try to catch them anytime they come within 2 hours of me. So that would be number 3. Number 4 is kind of tough for me because there's a lot of other bands that really fit like important roles in my life. I would have to say it's a 2-way tie between 100 Demons and All Out War. Both bands are very, you know, metallic hardcore, with All Out War being really metallic. Like, anytime I've ever told somebody to check out All Out War, I'm like, hey, do you like Slayer but heavier? Okay, listen to All Out War. So All Out War has been a huge influence on me and my musical writing style for probably the last 10 years. Like, I really latched onto them big time about 10 years ago. And also, I mean, my Instagram handle is named after the greatest song that they ever wrote and one of the greatest hardcore metal songs ever, Soaked in Torment. Check it out if you haven't heard it. But yeah, they've been a huge influence on me, and so is 100 Demons. 100 Demons, they're kind of a combination of the metallic hardcore style mixed with like the Hatebreed style. They're what you would call tough guy hardcore, but it's just metallic hardcore with a harder edge. So the first album with Bruce on it is an absolute hardcore masterpiece, and then the second album where they brought in a new singer, I forget what his name is, sorry. But anyways, that one is an absolute banger from front to back too, and I don't think that album gets enough credit for how well written that one is. I think that is the much better album musically and lyrically than In the Eyes of the Lord is. The self-titled is better. That's just me. That's my opinion. So I really dig that album. And also Rick Braille is a buddy of mine. Him and I chat gear here and there. So again, it's cool to be friends with these guys. I actually sold him a Les Paul, and I've sold him a few sets of pickups over the years, and we chat about music and stuff. Absolutely phenomenal guitarist. So yeah, number 1, Buried Alive. Number 2, Hatebreed. Number 3, Terror. Number 4, tie between All Out War and 100 Demons. All right, question from Ryan McNutt. Have you ever tried out a Hughes and Kettner 2x12? I have not, man, but I have actually been looking at the Tubemeister 212s because there's been a couple that have popped up used for around $400. I'm a little weary of grabbing one though because they have circular ports in the front of them, and I don't know how good that's going to sound. I don't know if the cab's going to retain its tightness and punchiness. It really depends. Those circular ports, I'm sure they're tuned to a certain frequency, and if they're not going to be at a frequency that I like, then I'm probably not going to love the cab. But they're nice and sleek looking. They're simple. They would go with a lot of my amps that I have. I definitely like the visual portion. Hey, I forgot I have another camera over here. But anyways, yeah, I've been interested in them. My man Len, who runs Landmine Studios out in New Jersey, I believe said that he has a Hughes and Kettner cab that he really likes. Pretty sure it was Len that told me that. I have a friend somewhere that told me that they have a Hughes and Kettner cab that's really well built, that has V30s in it, that they use a lot for recording purposes. So I've always been interested in them. I've always wanted to try them. I kind of want to try a little bit of everything. So I have not gotten the chance to play through one yet, but I very may well order one here pretty soon if I continue to find them around the $200 price point in good shape. TubeMeister 212 has vintage 30s, so I'll be able to judge it fairly well based on knowing the speakers, having them in a ton of different cabs as it is right now, and being able to judge the cab itself on its voicing with speakers that I'm familiar with. So when I do get that one, it'll be part of my cab shootout series. Real quick, I apologize, I haven't done more of the cab shootout videos, even though I'd like to, and speaker comparisons and stuff. I promise you guys all that stuff is coming. I had a lot of amps that I wanted to sell and get out of here, so I did a bunch of videos with those and kind of prioritized those over some of the other stuff that I need to get done, including some pedals that some companies have sent me and some other things. So you're gonna start seeing a little bit more variety on the channel, more cab speak outs, speaker tests themselves. I'm gonna do different miking tests and stuff like that on top of the pedals, on top of all the amps, on top of the plugins. There's just gonna be a ton of varied content coming from my channel. So I know you guys are mainly here for the amps and a lot of guys are here for cabs, but I really kind of want to encompass everything that's like guitar tone related, just because that's what my interests are and that's how I want to help people. So one more question for this week. Andrew Resington asks, and by the way, if you guys haven't checked out Andrew's channel, do yourself a favor and go check it out now. He's got some great playthroughs and some great tutorials on how to mix heavy guitars, as well as checking out all sorts of awesome plugins and stuff. So make sure to go check his channel out as soon as you're done watching this video and subscribing to my channel. Andrew asks, hey man, have you ever considered capturing some IRs from your favorite cab? It's pretty easy to do, and I'm sure some of us would be interested in trying them. Great vids as always. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna leave it at this. I am working on something with a couple other people who may or may not be a lot more well-known in this space than I am. And all I can say is I have a lot of cabs and a lot of different speakers, so you should stay tuned if you like IRs. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, with that, guys, I'm gonna call it a day on this FAQ. I really appreciate your questions as always. I'm squeaking the hell out of my chair, so that's probably gonna be really annoying in the audio. I'm gonna try to figure out how to get rid of that in the post. Please, for next week, leave your questions down in the comments as always. I will try to get to as many of them as I can. If I haven't gotten to your questions yet, I apologize. Keep putting them down there and I promise I will get to them eventually. Appreciate each and every one of you that watches this video and subscribes to my channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.